Hey folks, how are you all doing? Thank you for joining me on this. This is a video that's probably long overdue. My name's Paul from MapDeck Cycle Works, and I want to talk to you today about something that one of our members brought up the other day. Actually, to be honest, they've been bringing it up for quite a long time, and I thought this would be a really good opportunity to talk about it. It's the concept of get the miles in. I am pretty sure that you've all heard that phrase before, and this video is just to question that and see what comes up. Put together a little presentation. I hope you enjoy it and it raises some questions, and let's see where the discussion goes. So, get the miles in, a misunderstood training method. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, stuff that we hear, let's put this in context. Stuff that we hear all the time. We ride with a local cycling club, we ride with lots of different people, been around a fair bit, and this is one of the things that we hear. Like, train yourself to need less water to save weight because a water bottle is so heavy, you know, and you don't have to carry as much water. Brilliant. Do fasted rides to lose weight. Yeah, great idea. Get stronger by pushing a harder gear. I can't believe this is still being talked about, but today we're going to talk about this one. You have to get the miles in. Right, let's explore that. Right, first off, training versus doing. Now, if getting the miles in is what you enjoy doing, you're not worried about ever going any faster, you just like riding your bike for a long time, crack on, enjoy it, it's brilliant, fine, just keep doing it. Just remember that if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Don't expect to get any faster at it. You'll just become very efficient at doing that at that speed. It's great. That's what you enjoy. Brilliant. If you're watching this video because you're training for something, you've got a big ride, maybe you do an endurance ride once or twice a year or something, and you want to give it your best effort and you want to train for it, watch the rest of this video. Let's see if we can help you out. Right. Why are you getting the miles in? What's the motivation behind it? Just because some guy that you're riding with once said, oh, you've got to get the miles in, just got to get the miles in. Why? And I think it's one of these four things. Is it to give you the confidence you need to get to the start line knowing that you can achieve what it is you're set out to achieve? That's fine, it's fine. If that's what your motivation is, then that's fine, acknowledge it, it's good. Are you trying to increase your ride speed? Are you already confident that you can complete that sort of a distance, that sort of hours in the saddle, but you want to get faster at it? Is it because you want to test your equipment? Do you want to know that your bike's going to work, your clothing's going to work, your body's going to work? We'll get into that later. Or is it to test your nutrition? Are you the sort of person that is always bonking, run out of energy, and you feel like you just need to try different foods and see how they work together? Now, these four motivations are all good. If one of these or multiple of these is the reason why you are getting the miles in, great. Just spend some time acknowledging that. Okay, let's have a look at these. Let's break them down. Confidence to achieve. What are the likely causes of failure in your big endurance ride? Is it the lack of speed? Is it the fact that you might hit some cut-offs? Is it the lack of energy that you're worried about? Are you going to bonk? Run out of speed? Is it because things hurt? And this is an important one. Do you get to the point in a ride where your knees hurt, your back hurts, your neck hurts, your hands hurt, feet? There's lots of places on a cyclist's body that can actually cause pain, and pain can be a massive inhibitor to speed and enjoyment. Or are you worried about having an accident? Are you worried about that you can't descend hills steeply, that you can't get down to the drops and reach the brakes? Are you worried about riding in a peloton? Those sort of things. Now, does getting the miles in help any of that? Let's have a think about that. Okay. Next up, increase ride speed. If your motivation is you want to get faster and you're getting the miles in to get faster, let's have a think about that for a second. So, what makes us faster at endurance intensity? Remember, an endurance intensity is a pace that you can sustain all day. So it is 100%, give or take, aerobic. So we're not using the anaerobic systems very much. Therefore, we can pretty much sustain that level of output. And that means that our heart rate is not going to the point where, or our cardiorespiratory rate is not going high enough that it becomes unsustainable. We're at a sustainable level of energy output. And also, what makes us faster at that level of intensity? One, stronger muscles. It's a well-known fact that stronger muscles use the same energy to apply more force. Simple fact of going faster on a bike is if you put more force on the pedals, you will go faster. So strength in your muscles is important. And we've also got to get some of that energy into those muscles. So cardiorespiratory efficiency to process the fuel that we put in and get rid of the waste that the energy use produces as well. The fitter that you get, remember fitness is definitely not related to speed and nor strength, they're separate parts of the overall umbrella of fitness, is that just getting the miles in doesn't help that either. You need to train at different levels of intensity to help that process. Is it to try and do pain-free miles? Again, are you better off spending some time working on the eliminating the pain to help your speed? And finally, intelligent fueling and pacing. As the ride gets longer and the intensity levels change, your speed will become very much dependent on what you eat and when you eat it and how hard you go for how long and how many times in a ride. And all of that is the big skill in endurance. Now, ask yourself, does getting the miles in help any of that? Cool. What about getting the miles in to test your equipment? So, mechanical testing. You want to test your bike? Brilliant. Why don't you test your bike by wearing it out? Doesn't make sense when you say it like that, does it? So, I'm pretty sure my bike works, so I'm going to go out and test it for 8 hours, because if something hasn't broken in 1 hour, it won't break in an hour. That doesn't hold much water with me. Is it to test your clothing? Yeah, this is legitimate. So if you suffer from chafing and stuff like that, then yes, testing a pair of shorts out for longer than being in the changing room at the shop, or even being on a turbo trainer for a 1 hour-ish bike fit, then yes, you need to go and test your bike shorts for a little bit longer and get some miles into them to have the confidence that you are not going to have lots of chafing after a few hours. Legitimate use of getting some miles in. Testing your body. What happens to your body after it's done a few miles? My feeling is that if anything's going to go wrong with your body, it'll probably go wrong in the first 5-ish hours, 4 to 5 hours, and it'll only get worse from there on in. So if you can hold a good posture, good biomechanics for about 5 hours, there's a good chance that you can hold it for an awful lot longer as well. And finally, testing that fuel. Fuel is part of your equipment. It needs to be tested. We all react to different foods and different waters and stuff in different ways. So yes. So ask yourself, does getting the miles in help with testing any of that equipment? Okay. A little bit more depth on the nutrition. Points of failure for your nutrition. One, really obviously, is you're not eating enough. We've done some other stuff on nutrition in the past here at MapDeck, and about how many grams of carbohydrate you need for certain levels of intensity. And it's really, really important for endurance. You'll be surprised about how much calories you can burn through. And not giving your body enough time to process that fuel, even if you think you are eating, we often leave it too late, and rather than grazing our way through lots of different types of fuel, we often just stuff our faces at the feed station and then right up a hill. Your body's had no chance to process that. So getting the miles in, if it's testing those two things, is that a good use of your time? Two other things on here is the malnutrition. On a really long ride, like 200-300 kilometers, you will need more than just raw fuel. You're going to need something to replenish the vitamins and minerals that help your body actively make the chemical reactions in your body. So you actually need to think about nourishing your body as well as you think about fueling it. And dehydration has a massive effect on performance. And if you need to test that, then getting the miles in, potentially can help. I'll put a little caveat on this. At too much fuel and water is possible, but highly unlikely. You've probably read a scare story in a magazine once about someone having too much water and suffering ill effects. Very much the minority. Most people suffer from quite the opposite. Okay. So here's a little reframe for you. How about if we swapped the time, get the miles in, to got to put the time in? And if you're going to put those amount of hours into training for your big endurance challenge, what is the best way to use that time? So here's a little way of what I call it, the mitigating failure. So if you can achieve these things, I would say that there's a really, really good chance that you'll be able to do virtually any endurance activity that you want. So first off, can you ride for 5 hours without stopping for fuel? Now 5 hours to me is really critical because it gets to that point where you've already burnt through the fuel that you've taken on with your breakfast. You haven't stopped for a cafe, you're reliant on the food that is in your back pocket, and at endurance pace you would have had to have done that at least a couple of times. So if you're at threshold pace, you probably would have done it multiple times, etc. But at a zone 2 endurance type pace for 5 hours non-stop, you would have experienced everything you probably would have experienced on a 13, 14, 20, 10-day ride. It's the level of intensity, what you've got to eat is about the same. So if you can get to that 5 hour point without stopping for fuel, good tick. Cool. So the next part of that, most people go, right, I've done a 5 hour ride. What I need to do next is do a 6 hour ride or a 7 hour ride, and they build up the hours. I'm going to question that. What I'd say next to do is to ride for 5 hours without any pain. So if you came off that first 5 hours, you didn't stop for fuel, but you got off and you were stiff and like your neck hurt for days and you couldn't walk up and down the stairs the next day, then go back and revisit the 5 hour ride. Get into place all the things you need to do to mitigate the pain, improve your core stability, improve your mobility, test your bike shorts, whatever it is that caused pain on that 5 hours, fix it. And then do another 5 hours. Like, don't just go, I've got through 5 hours and I tolerated pain. No, put the time in to doing 5 hours without pain would be a better use of your time. All right, once you're happy with that, you've gone out for a ride on a Saturday, you've done 5 hours, you've got back, you're feeling all right, you go, yeah, this is all right. Still not a time to do a 6 hour ride, 7 hour ride, increase the hours. What you want to do is try and do that the next day, because this shows that you can recover from that effort. You can put the recovery nutrients into your body, you can get some sleep, you can get up the next day and do it again. So rather than, and your body would have some time to recover, the training effect will be better rather than slogging out more hours on the same day. And finally, ride for 5 hours at your target speed without pain. So once you get to the point where you can do around a 5 hour ride multiple times, then it's start thinking about improving your speed to get up to the speed that you want to do your big endurance challenge at. And again, going out and doing 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, or even longer isn't going to help you get faster. To get faster needs a different approach to your training, which we'll cover in another video because it's a video on itself. And two little things at the bottom there that are worth spending some time on, remember, I've got to put the time in, is can you confidently handle your bike in pelotons and terrain? Because maybe this is some skill acquisition that you want to do. Maybe it's a mountain bike event actually, and you need to do some, improve your flow going downhill, reduce how much you're using the brakes. If you're on a road bike, you might need to be able to get down on the drops. Whatever it is, if there's a skills gap, are you better off investing the time in closing that skills gap than you are flogging out hours on the bike? And finally, what about punctures and mechanicals? If you're going to spend an hour on the side of a road fixing a tubeless tyre because you can't get the tyre off the rim, what was the point of all that training? Were you better off spending some time learning how to be a faster, fix roadside mechanicals faster, rather than just praying they don't happen to you? So can you fix punctures, including tubeless? Can you get those tubeless tyres off roadside? What about, can you what if you break a cable? You probably haven't got a cable with you. Can you do something with your gears to at least get you through to the next repair station or get you through the ride? There's always something you can do. What about broken chains? Can you bodge your roadside fix? What about stopping your brakes rubbing? Can you index your gears? You do all those sort of things that will help you get through to the end of a ride without wasting too much time that you've just fought hard to get. So that's mitigating failure. What about some success? We're going to put some time into achieving success. Here we go. Here are some top tips. Tick these off and let's start at the very top. Can you build a resilient, efficient and strong body? I.e., could you fall off your bike, take a few knocks, ride multiple days, feel fresh, stretch it out and do it again? Is your body efficient enough at taking fuel and protein in to repair and recover and gain fitness? Have you got a strong body that can push hard on those pedals, take a few days of repeated efforts? If you've got that strong, good quality base, that's great. Nourish and fuel your ride and recovery. So if there's one takeaway from this, think about nourishing your body rather than fueling it, because it's easy just to keep piling fuel into it, but you can't just keep randomly throwing carbohydrates down your body. You're going to need other things in there that make up the electron transfer chain. Your body's a really complex chemical reaction. If you're not giving it everything that it needs in terms of vitamins and minerals and chemicals, how is it going to do that? So the longer the ride or the run, the more normal the food, and that becomes more and more critical. You can't just hopelessly just keep injecting carbohydrate into you. And finally, prepare your mind for endurance. Try and start getting your head around the idea that you're going to be on a bike for a long time and you want to enjoy it. And you've got to start thinking about what's going to be stressful, what that performance anxiety is going to be like, and start putting things into place where you can start being a lot more comfortable with the idea of what you're about to do to your body. Okay, balancing your training and recovery. So this is where getting the miles in is really unhelpful sometimes. So as you know, that as you train, as you ride, you will get tired. You pick up accumulated training stress, and that will take some recovery time. Now, if you're going out on a Saturday and doing a big long ride, and you're going out on a Sunday and doing a big long ride, and you're going out on a Monday lunchtime and doing a big long ride, all you're going to be doing is accumulating the fatigue. When you get to the start line of your event, you're going to be tired rather than fitter. So you need to balance those things. A cycling coach will help you with this. Come and speak to us here at MapDay. We'll be able to help you with this. Getting a training program that balances the training load and the recovery needed to make sure that you're always improving and not just suffering from fatigue is super important. Put some time into doing that. Pace and fuel your ride intelligently. And you need to start understanding things like training zones, how long you can sustain an effort at a training zone. How long does it take you to recover after you've done a big effort? What have you got to eat after, that sort of thing? You start to build up a picture of everything you need to do to pace your ride. There will be times where you can't ride at zone 2, your endurance zone, the entire time. There'll be times when you have to go up a hill or push a headwind, and those will need mitigating. You will need to go, right, I've put some big efforts in here. I now need to fuel, hydrate, recover, get back to my steady state effort again after that effort to get me through the rest of the ride. So you need to pace it intelligently. Start slow to finish strong. You must have heard this a lot of times, I'm sure, but it is so true. You want to enjoy your ride, and there's nothing worse than bonking and dragging a tired, exhausted body through to the finish line. It's not fun, it's not pleasant, it's not what you signed up for. So take it easy, keep it well within your limits to start with, keep an eye on your rate of perceived effort, keep an eye on your stats, keep an eye on your nutrition, and then when you feel ready, getting towards the finish line, then put your effort in. Enjoy those miles, enjoy them. Here you go, here's the last one. Invest in your body, bike and equipment equally. Very easy to go out and spend a lot of money on a lot of expensive cycling parts. There's a lot of marketing out there tempting you to say that this set of wheels is going to make you faster, this saddle is going to cure your bum pain, this handlebar tape is going to cure, like, you get the idea. But very few of us actually invest in our body, which makes no sense because our body is the engine of this. And if we don't invest in our body, either in terms of time or in terms of money, then what was the point in spending money anywhere else? Like, your body is the most important thing. It's like having a car without an engine. So, and there's loads of people that can help you. Personal trainer would help you build that resilient, efficient, strong body at the top there. What about a nutritionist to help you with your food, especially if you're suffering ill effects from certain types of food? Go and speak to a nutritionist. What about a cycling coach to help with that balance, training and recovery? Be very, very helpful. Not all of us like to follow a training plan and like to do our own thing, but a cycling coach will still be able to keep you on track with things. Go and get sports massage. Listen to them, like sort out your biomechanics, sort out those tired muscles, improve your mobility. Nearly all pain on a bike is sort of something to do with shortened muscles or poor joints. And what about anxiety or maybe some stress counselling, that sort of thing, to help get your mind around certain things? All really worth investing in as equally as a £200 set of bike shorts, and probably a lot better at making you faster. All right, that's it for me. One takeaway from this: remember, endurance is a skill. Everything we just talked about is just a big part of being an endurance athlete. It's very easy to look at mountain bikers and doing like bunny hops and wheelies and things like that. I think that's a skill. But endurance, understanding what your body needs, when it needs it, level of intensity to get through a ride, training for it, that's all a skill that takes time and help and patience to acquire. So, right, that's it for me, pretty much. Hopefully that's just made you just think about the idea of getting the miles in, and maybe just reframing that to say, if I'm going to invest this time in putting the miles in, is my time better spent in achieving my goal by doing something a little bit different? Cool, thanks for listening. Any questions, pop them in the comments below. I'll be dead keen to help you answer them. All right guys, thanks, good luck.